All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Errol Spence, according to Freddie Roach, Errol Spence Jr. may never fight again, and he says that his eyes are nothing to play with. However, I find this to be a little bit disrespectful on the part of Freddie Roach, who has his own problems and probably shouldn't be saying things like this. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So before I get into the meat of the video, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you can get notifications of videos. Also hit the share, like the video would be absolutely greatly appreciated. Helps the channel grow. Okay, let's talk about this, which we knew was coming. Freddie Roach is pontificating that Errol Spence Jr. may never fight again. And that would be, in my opinion, a very, very hard pill to swallow. I'm a big Errol Spence Jr. fan. I think Errol Spence Jr. is absolutely great for the sport of boxing. He's an ambassador. He's definitely an ambassador for the sport of boxing. He's an ambassador for his people in the sport of boxing. He's a young man that has overcome a great amount of adversity with a tremendous car accident that he was in. So to see him go out on something like a torn, an injury to the eye would absolutely be sad. But that is what Freddie Roach is speculating might be the case. Now, my problem with Freddie Roach pontificating in this manner is that Freddie Roach is somebody that should know that there are definitely ways that you overcome tough situations, because he is somebody that has, I do believe, Parkinson's disease and has been able to coach for at least the last decade that I can remember. It's pretty much seeming like he has been in the same spot as far as what his disease is. But to get on Errol Spence Jr., to me seems like that is just a bit of throwing too much shade for a guy that got injured, in this early, and I consider to be an early stage of his career. Now, Errol Spence Jr., on the other hand, says that he is coming back and he is going to be looking for the winner of the fight between Yordenis Ugas and Manny Pacquiao. And I think more than likely that he's going to actually come back and be back. There's been a lot of injuries to eyes that have taken place in the sporting world, boxing specifically. One that comes to mind, obviously, is Sugar Ray Leonard with his detached retina, and he was able to come back from his detached retina. And I just think that it is a matter of probably, not whether or not, Errol Spence Jr. is going to come back, but it's how long he will be back once he gets back. I think that is the more reasonable thing to look at, because he's definitely said that he has the intention on coming back. And the doctor said that, he should only be out for a short time and it will be back to get the winner. That tells you right there that his mentality is that he's coming back. So whether or not he's going to, and there's nobody that is going to prevent him from coming back after he has that surgery and he gets doctor's approval. He's not going to be the type of person that's going to sit back and go into retirement and not do anything, because he's very goal set. He has his goals set in his mind, and he is trying to pursue those goals, specifically the unification of the 147-pound division. And that, I think, would probably be about another three fights before he's able to do that. He'd have to beat the winner of Manny Pacquiao, Yordenis Ugas, and then he would have to fight probably a in-between fight, and then Terrence Crawford, because I find it really hard to believe that he's going to go straight from his next fight into the fight with Terrence Crawford, just because of the contractual makeup that in between the PBC and Top Rank, and whether or not Terrence Crawford is actually still going to be with Top Rank, or whether or not he's going to go and move off, and go somewhere else. That's undecided. So just for my estimations, I would say it'd probably take about 3 fights for Errol Spence to get that opportunity to do it. Now, but the question, I think a reasonable question though, is how long will it be that Errol Spence Jr. continues to fight after he comes back, because with that whole car accident thing that he had, that is a lot of that's a lot of pressure on your body to be flipped around in a car and have your body slammed like that. And that, I do believe that he's right. You can't undamage your body when it's taken that much trauma. So I think that there's always going to be some things that are there that are either nagging injuries or just things that aren't quite right with him. But that doesn't mean that an athlete like him, that he can't get himself into as good a condition as he can for a fight. It just means that he may be more subject, to different injuries. Like, for example, like when I tore my ACL, I tore an ACL in my knee. Once I tore my ACL in my knee, if my knee swells up or something like that, I might very well, favor my right leg over my left leg. But when I favor my right leg over my left leg, then then my ankle might get hurt, because I'm compensating for my knee on my left ankle, so something on my right leg might go out. So I think that once you knock your body off of its equilibrium, then there's always going to be some pull and push thing that very well may continue, exacerbating the injuries, especially if you're doing something that is as high level as, fighting as a professional fighter. So, as far as this being his last career, the last fighter, he may not come back. I don't know, man. That may seem like he's trying to get a little bit of payback in the conversations that Errol Spence Jr. had about saying that he was going to retire Manny, and maybe trying to play on, that type of, the irony that would be, where Errol Spence Jr. says he's going to retire Manny, but Errol winds up getting an eye injury, and then he himself winds up being retired. So I'm not sure, but I think that Freddie Roach is just real ahead of things, got really ahead of himself by saying this. And it's kind of disrespectful to Errol Spence Jr., because you want to have Errol Spence Jr., you don't want to cast those doubts over his career when he has fans and he has, all other kind of people around him that are relying on him, or, that support him, just to kind of toss, the future of his career in a trash can, especially coming from a man who many years ago people thought was going to, be, I don't mean to be, bad when I say this, but, physically unable to continue to do his job because of how much shaking he had going on and the difficulties with his speech. Many people didn't believe that Freddie Roach would be able to stay in the game as long as he has. Now, that's obviously not the same thing as fighting, right? But we're not talking about whether or not, Errol Spence Jr. is going to have like another 5, 6, 10 years in his career. Errol Spence Jr. already had said before his car accident that he didn't want to, that it wasn't his plan to stay around in boxing forever. He wanted to get the straps. He wanted to get his money. Then he wanted to be done. So seeing as that was his goal, I suspect that he's still going to push through his goal. He's already said that he's been through worse things than this before. And, it kind of makes sense to me that he has been, and that he's going to show the grit and the determination to go after and to go after it. As long as the doctors say that his eye is safe, and is able to take contact from it or whatever, then, it's going to be what it is, and he's had some big, massive paydays. And he'll have another big, massive payday in the future. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.